Hey everybody, welcome back to Commentary Track Comparisons Why the Last Man, presented by the Triple C Collective. With you today is your host, Jimmy, and I am flying solo. Ed is not here. He had to take care of some things, scheduling, whatever. He'll be back. Not a worry. Nothing wrong. But today I'm going to be flying solo, so we will see if this crazy ADD dad will be able to get through it, or if this will be a mess. I don't know. Stay tight here, guys. We'll see how this goes. But first, what I want to do, usually there's a 3-question recap that we do. Not going to do that. Don't have anyone to respond to me. So a little bit of like our, I would say how we normally go about it is clearly going to be changed because it's usually meant for 2 people being here. So today I'm actually not going to do the 3-question recap because I got nobody to respond back to me. What I am going to do is call out a miscomparison that Ed and I did not do last episode. So last episode, at the beginning of the episode, I think this is where we probably missed it, is that at the beginning of this episode, or at the beginning of episode 6, last week's episode, we get Roxanne questioning Mac about like kind of being sexualized by men at a very young age. And it wasn't until rereading book 2 and doing book 3 for this episode that I realized that conversation is directly from book 2 at the end. And it's actually near the end of book 2 here. And it's actually the conversation that Veronica in here and Hero have. So it was really actually interesting when I reread that, and I was like, oh man, wow, I can't believe we missed that. That was like right there. I think it was because, whatever. It was at the end of the book. We didn't remember it. I'm sorry. We forgot about that, so I wanted to call us out for it. Anyhow, let's jump into episode 7. Episode 7 starts pretty neat, cool. I like the shot that they chose of like a low angle dolly shot that's like basically going right even with the ground, so you see like a dead rotting body and then the same dead rotting body of a dog. We get ampersand coming in to try and play with the dog's toy that was like right there still. It's a little ball, like a little open chew ball or whatever. Amp starts like playing with it and knocking it forward. It's a really great it's a I like the shot, but it's a very like sad also kind of thing, like depressing as well. But it kind of sets up a little bit for what happens later on in the episode, and kind of like I don't know. I just really like that shot. So then we get York, 355. Man, they're all together. 355 siphoning some gas. We also get York trying to plead with Man, not really plead, talk with Man about how they may want to go about giving 355 an apology for trying to abandon her and then still not killing those 3 mounted operatives, which they were convinced that she would do, and or at least York says that convinced is strong from last episode. That was really funny. But so then we actually get another bit of York and York and Man bonding, and it's really great. It's York talking about like escape artistry and how there needs to be, like, if you're going to escape a box or something, usually another animal of some kind or something else needs to be in the box to raise the stakes, because then if you don't do it, then there's this other thing. He goes into like life and death is too like cosmic too big or whatever, to really get people totally invested in it. It's a really interesting thing. It's an interesting conversation, but the best part of it is York asking Dr. Mann if she's ever tied knots, and then she very aggressively starts finishing the knot that she was tying York up with so that York can escape from it and show her how he's an escape artist. Before they can finish tying the knot and stuff, there's a crash though. We get a couple of shots of 355 before the crash, of her kind of nodding off, the truck that they're in with the camper attached to it, kind of hitting some trees and stuff, or grazing like the bottom of a tree line. Crash. We also got that classical music again that we've heard the previous three times, or now this being the third, the previous two times of when 355 was like sleepwalking, when she almost went off the edge, when she almost walked, I mean, both times she almost went off the edge. And now she kind of did. She kind of did go off the edge in the fact that something bad actually happened. And this is similar to a crash that happens in book two that sets up what we kind of hinted at that we didn't want to try necessarily talk about a whole bunch was Marysville, Ohio. And seeing this, I was like, oh my God, yeah, they're doing it. Because in the comic we don't really get a crash, but we get similar circumstances from it. In the comic, they are riding the rails, like trains going cross country to make it to Dr. Mann's lab in San Francisco in California. Here, they're still traveling by car, road, motor vehicle, not train. But they get attacked on the train in the comic, and then they have to jump off. And what happens is they're separated. Yorick and Ampersand get knocked off at one place. Mann and 355 get knocked off at another place. Off the train. What we do get, though, is we also get the intro of like the people of Marysville, where we see them coming on their motorcycles, and Dr. Mann is flagging them down because she's the first one to regain consciousness. She checks to make sure Yorick is okay. She doesn't see 355. Nobody knows where she went or got thrown from here. And then Dr. Mann gets a shotgun to her face. She's not shot in the face, but she gets a cocked shotgun from the people in Marysville in her face. And then we get a hard cut to the Pentagon. Now, the Pentagon stuff is always very interesting to me, and I find myself really into it, which is weird because usually I'm not into the political side of like stories and stuff. Usually I get bored or whatever. I usually lose interest when they go heavy in that. And to be honest, for this show, it's been a very like they've done a really good job. There's three stories that they're telling, but they've always done a really good job of telling two of the three stories at a time. Hence why we always usually get like a question of where's Hero and Sam, usually as a 3-question recap. Where were they from the previous episode? But here, we're back at the Pentagon again. We get Jennifer Brown interrogating the Mountain Team, or the 3-member Mountain Team 10. Mountain 10 team, whatever. We get her, the General, and Regina, and Christine, Jennifer Brown's like assistant. We get them all there talking. And it's a really interesting scene. It's really great. I really loved it in the fact that like Diane Lane gets a chance to like really kind of act like she gets to kind of chew the scenery a little bit, and it's fun to watch. She's really great in that scene. I mean, everyone's really great in that scene. Everyone plays it really well. And the conversation, though, specifically about seeing a 6-foot tall Caucasian male with brown hair, a monkey with him. They do confirm that they saw Dr. Mann, or no. They only saw the Caucasian male. They couldn't confirm they saw Dr. Mann. So they know that there is this Caucasian 6-foot brown hair possible male, and Sarah Bergen together with a third person assumed to be Dr. Mann. It's really interesting because they kind of start seeing like a little bit of what Jennifer Brown and like what Christine and Agent Bergen were kind of trying to do. Like they already hit like, well, if she's with a geneticist and an asset, like what are they trying to do? Clearly trying to bring back like the men with the Y chromosome or whatever, however you want to look at it, bring back men to the world, and in this world at least. And then that's very interesting because it's very interesting to what Kim says later on in this scene when we're back at the Pentagon, Kim then Regina is talking with Kim and they're talking about everything in there. And Marla, Kim's mom, is always just it's just like, Kimber, come here, leave this alone. Like, her mom is tired, I would say, is the word that you can tell. She looks tired. She looks exhausted. And for the most part, to be fair, the mother's like wishes and like questions and stuff have like really gone on unanswered by people. She keeps saying that she just wants to go back home. She doesn't want to be here anymore. Like, she doesn't, she like for she almost kind of feel you're kind of getting the feeling that Marla is feeling like a prisoner here now and no longer like able to do what she wants or like what she would like to do. I mean, given the world that they're in. And so this is all very interesting. Just one more tidbit that I want to talk about before we go to just the Kim, Regina, and Marla stuff. We get the 3 Mountain 10 team members talking, and the one member goes, no, tell them it all. Tell them everything. And that's when they say a monkey, and Jennifer Brown gives one, or Diane Lane as Jennifer Brown gives like one of the best, what? Like, okay. And clearly you guys are trained. I don't know how much we can trust your memory. And she really just kind of shuts down shop, like right there. She leaves, tells Christine, get these people transferred. We don't want these rumors going around here, starting any more than they already have. Then we get the Kim and Regina with Marla just asking Kim, like, hey, come over here, leave this alone, blah, blah, blah. And then we also get Marla telling Kim that you will see your sons again when you're dead. Because this isn't going to work. This plan of... Because Regina tells Kim that she saw a monkey and that... Regina tells Kim that one of the operatives saw a monkey. Marla drops her glass and that springs this whole new conversation with them. About that and everything that's going on. So it's really it's really great because now like this is like real evidence for what Kim has been daydreaming, like kind of making up on her own of like a conspiracy is here. There's something here. There's something going on. I'm telling you. She's hiding something. Well, now I guess she really is hiding something. And it goes back to what Dr. Mann said about why she doesn't trust the U.S. government or whatever, that they're usually hiding something, and she points right to York. So it's interesting. It's interesting on that. I really like it. It's been really cool stuff. And then we get Yorick waking up in a bed next to a strange woman. And this is direct from the comics. Like, so what we get here, let me just pull out these pages really quick. Yeah, see this? All of that, these 2 pages. That is exactly basically what we see. The only difference is instead of Sonia being in a rocking chair in the comic, she is just laying on top of the covers next to Yorick. And this is like, I just showed you all that. That's a great comparison. It was literally like taken from the pages. And so here we go. If you had read the comic and you were hoping to get Marysville and you didn't necessarily get it from the crash at the beginning of the episode, I'm hoping you got it here. That like you as a fan of the comic being like, oh my God, we're here. We're at Marysville. If you didn't, that's okay. They give you one more opportunity. They give you 3 opportunities before they spell it out for you in this episode, and I'll get there. But then in Marysville, so he sneaks out of his room, he gets whatever clothes is around him, gets dressed, and then there's this awkward meeting in the kitchen because another gentleman there in this house that he is in sees that he is grabbing like a baseball trophy or a sports trophy of some kind, getting ready to come in with a weapon like, where are my friends? Let me go. He just grabs it, puts it down, knowing that in the end that's going to be bad for him. And if you just really talk to these people, they will not just shoot you on sight, which is cool. Um, so then they have a little bit of a powwow here, and they're at they move from the kitchen to a picnic table. And then like everyone's bombarding them with questions like, who are you? Why did you survive? Are there any other survivors? Are you being hunted? That's a lot of weapons and military gear stuff in there. He responds, you want it? Somebody asks him if he's like an escape artist. What is that, a joke? Jokes are funny. And for me, it's like it's one of the best line deliveries, best line readings, whatever you want to call it, that Ben is York gives, and it's so funny. The exchange, like, an escape artist. What is that? A joke or something? No, jokes are funny, and I can't even do it justice. It's great. It's so funny. Um, and then we also get we see some 355 and excuse me, I spit there a little bit. 355 and Dr. Mann in a prison cell. Now they're in a prison cell, people. If you haven't realized that we're in Marysville, Ohio yet in the show, this is the third one. This is the third clue. I count the crash as the first one, York waking up in the bed as the third one, or as the second one, and then the third one, 355 and Mann, we cut to them being in a prison cell. And even in the cell, 355 calls out, like, you don't smell anything dead in here, right? Smells actually kind of okay, maybe normal, maybe a little musty or whatever. But it doesn't smell like death or rot or anything bad like that, awful like that. And this is where, like, in that conversation, seeing the prison cell and stuff, that's where you're supposed to realize that this is the prison from Marysville, Ohio. And what kind of prison they figure, or 355 surmises, is an all-women's prison. And that should be your final clue that we are in Marysville, which is very exciting because stuff goes down in Marysville in the comic, and book 2 has it. It's great. So we're in there. We get 355. We get a little bit of like what happened from 355 because we get from the crash to waking up in the prison from 355's perspective. She has the perspective that she's kind of like daywalking, like sleepwalking almost in a dream though, because she like wakes herself up from from being like on a crash, and it's actually a very close shot to how what they said chapter 2 of book 2 starts. Cycles right there. Like how we see 355 is very kind of close to that. It's really great. I hope 355 is good and we find out that she's okay. She just needs to recover a little bit. But like I love the nod. If you were a fan of the comic, like it's another little bit of fodder of being like, see, like yeah, we made some changes and stuff, but like we're honoring this source material. And in a lot of ways it's really cool. My biggest critique is I didn't like Harrow's story throughout the first like 3-4 episodes. Now that we're in this PriceSmart thing, and I know, or Price Max, and I know that she becomes an Amazon and stuff, like I'm kind of excited now to see the transition of her from this to Amazon hero, and it'll be cool. I'm pretty excited for that stuff. That looks very hopeful. This is episode 7, so we have 3 more episodes. We've got 8, 9, and 10. The finale, Why Lives On, awesome. So sorry about that, but we get 355. So 355 again sees her dead parents. We get that jazzy kind of music again, and it's all really great. I really liked how they did this. And then 355, like as she looking at her hands that have blood on them, they become little 12-year-old girl hands. And then I only know it's 12-year-old girl because 355 says it, like, once they get into the once they show her back in prison in the now time with Dr. Mann, she talks about how her parents died when she was 12 in a car crash. Um, so that was all really great. I loved every little bit of it. I do like now they're giving us also a chance for Dr. Man and 355 to bond. Because that's the other thing. Like, there are times where it was like, York was just doing whatever, I don't know. I like that they're giving everyone time in to get to know each other and work together. And like, so now we haven't really seen anything with 355 and Man, and we get that here in this prison cell, and it's pretty great. I love it. They have some really nice tit for tat going back and forth at each other, and it's awesome. And it is very reminiscent of like the comic and how they all kind of like work within each other and work within each other. That's probably bad. Work with each other to accomplish their goals and stuff. And so I'm a big fan of this show. I'm a big fan of the comic. So I'm very excited that they are doing that they are honoring so much and putting so much in here to like feed us more. It's great. I'm really liking it. But the joke that Man calls 355 out for, she goes, as long as there's no trees between, here in California, you're a great driver and you'll get us there in one piece, or you'll get us there safely, whatever it is. It's very funny. Then we get, we snap back to the Pentagon, as they do, because as we're seeing, this is clearly going to be a York Man 355 / Pentagon Jennifer Brown Kim Regina episode. Which is something that I have just a little side note tangent here, as I've been doing. See, ADD dad. Sorry, guys. I have really enjoyed the way that they've cut like the storylines on this. Of like, they always will give us York and 355 and Man. They always give us that. They sometimes give us the Jennifer Brown. They sometimes give us the hero. They sometimes give us all three. But usually it's like York and then teamed with the Pentagon stuff and Jennifer Brown and all them, or it's with Hero and Sam and stuff, and I love it. I think it's a really great way to dip in and out, but also keep your constant, because in the end, York and 355 and Man, they are the constant storyline. They're the ones that we should be most invested in, but these other stops that we kind of weave in and out of along the way are equally great. So I've really I may not have given them enough credit for that, like Eliza Clark and all of her writers, directors, the producers. I love it. It's a really well crafted show. They do some cool things with it, and it's been fun. But anyhow, we get back to when we cut back to Jennifer Brown, we see her outside giving an address to the crowd around the fence of everyone at the Pentagon. And that all in itself is pretty wild, pretty crazy, because we've slowly been seeing more and more people. Now we're starting to see what they do is like they're following this person in a plaid, like, no, not a plaid. It's like a weird triangle design. It looked very 90s. I was like, oh man, that looks like something out of the 90s right there. But it's this really, like, yeah, I'll just call it a 90s designed coat, big old winter coat. It looked like something you would wear here in the Chicagoland area. And when they reveal via Jennifer Brown that that's somebody that she recognizes. And as soon as we see that, I mean, as soon as I saw that we lingered on this coat for a little bit, I was like, oh, Beth, have we found Beth? Have we found Beth after the last 5 episodes of asking, where is Beth? Have we found her? Has she shown back up? And the wonderful question, or the wonderful answer to that very long gestating question is yes. That is Beth. She made it. They did not kill her, which I honestly thought that they might have. They did not ship her off to Australia, which kind of makes me a little sad because I wanted to see the expansion of the world a little bit. I get that this is a season 1, but I thought that that would have been a great like hint to leave people wanting more. Because at the end, so I mean, to be really fair, book 2 goes into some crazy places here. They go crazy town, but I love it. It's not bad crazy. In book 2, I'll just do it. You guys ready? You guys ready for a major spoiler to the comic? They go to space, baby. They go to space. Yeah. Space. So yeah, in this, they go to space. Now that's all I'm going to show you. You might have seen the one woman on there. But they go to space with a space station. I know, as far as I know, I didn't see anything about anything. I think they mentioned the space station, but I don't remember if they said if it came crashing down or not. Because if they did, then that means they're just writing that part off and they're not even going to go do that, probably for whatever reason. But this is so with not seeing Beth getting to Australia or going to Australia, I was a little sad, and we still haven't seen Alter from Israel yet, despite clear talks and people coming from Israel and everything. Regina being in there and then coming back here. So that is the expansion of the world a little bit, seeing it expanded beyond just like the United States. Kind of wanted to see just a little bit more, a few hints of that. But that's beside the point. That's really, I mean, it's still really good. I personally never thought that they would do like space, but I mean, hey, maybe they will. Why lives on, right? Why not? So Jennifer Brown sees Beth, brings her in. One of the only people that have been out in this crowd, and I mean, these people are like camping out there. We kind of see through following Beth walking her way up to the fence that's dividing like the Pentagon, like all the people in the Pentagon and all the people out on the other side of the fence. We see that, and we see like different vans are there, propped up, people living in them and stuff. It's really just kind of become like a little community. Excuse me. So it was really great to kind of see the other side of the fence a little bit, because all we've really seen on the other side of the fence has really only been from York Man 355, like going to Harvard, and like, so we've only really seen that. We haven't really stayed outside the safety of the Pentagon. So it was interesting to see that. I like that. I've said this saying before, I liked living in that world, like living in this world. That was as much as I was just talking about world building and stuff, I'm also really loving that they do give us intimate time and give us little bits of living within the world. And whether that sometimes is by dialogue, that is sometimes by showing us like the walkthrough, just like that I'm describing here, where we see Beth. But that's a wonderful reunion. Beth, Jennifer Brown, they talk. And then, we found Beth. But I jumped the gun a little bit. Earlier I was talking about Kim, Regina, talking about the 6-foot person and the monkey. That happens here after Jennifer Brown meets Beth, takes her in, offers her like shower, well wish, whatever, all that stuff. They catch up. Beth talks about York proposing and how she turned him down, but she still loved him and like cared for him, and how like all that stuff. So it was a really sweet reconnection, but at the same time, Jennifer Brown also lies to Beth about York being alive. And yeah, so that was all very interesting. It was a nice little reunion. Where is Beth? We have found Beth. It's great. then we snap back to Marysville, and Marysville has been slowly building the tension because and we kind of get a lot of that right here at this back at the being back at the picnic table talking. He's asking about where his friends are. York is asking all the ladies, Janice, all of them, around who, like, can he go? Where are his friends? They say, well, you can go anytime you want. And he's like, all right, so I'm just going to go and grab my friends. And then they say, no, you can't go. And he's like, well, kind of sounds like I'm a hostage. Kind of sounds like I can't go anywhere. And they lay it out on the line that we're only a portion of the people here. We vote things as a group. So our whole group isn't here, so we haven't made a decision yet. Once our whole group is here, we will take a vote to decide. That kind of sounds a little ominous. A little scary. Yeah. That sounds, yeah, we'll put a pin in that for right now. Then we get Man in 355, and this is where 355 gets to take a jab at Man, which I equally like because the tree line and the California thing that Dr. Mann said earlier to 355 was very funny. Again, that was part of that like bonding, going tit for tat, and they do it very well. Now 355 says, they had this list of geniuses of all these great scientists, geneticists all over the country that could have been used, could have been sought after, that people would want to talk to get involved in this stuff. And you see Dr. Mann kind of like perk up a little bit. She's like, well, I don't know how you quantify gene, and gets cut off by 355. You weren't on that list. And then Dr. Mann gets real defensive and real mad. What? I wasn't on this list? How could I not be on this list? I need to be on this list. Is this about the Saudis? And like we know from earlier, she took money from the Saudi Arabia to do some genetic testing into like cloning and stuff. It's the same kind of stuff that she was in trouble, I shouldn't say in trouble for, but why she wasn't necessarily super sought after, again, in the comic as well, is taking money from questionable people to work on her work, her science. And that's kind of her defense and stuff here. Or that's what Dr. Mann kind of clapbacks with here, and is like, see, this is why I don't trust the government, blah, 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 blah. And then 355 is just like, just saying, you weren't on that list. It's very funny. It's very neat. I really liked what they did with that and how they presented it to us. That was fun. That was really good. Then we get York being tossed into the prison as well, because now the women, as we see, all the women of Marysville are taking their vote. They're going to go see what we need to do. And York tells them that. And York asks, like, gives a breakdown of the prison, not the prison, of the town, Marysville, all the women, and like what's going on there. He lets them know that they, the women of Marysville, were questioning him about who those two were. 355 Man, where are they going? What are they after? All of these things, trying to decide, threat level, danger level, all of that stuff. And then 355 informs York that this is an all-women's prison, and some of these women were serving life sentences. So if they find us a threat, they will, and just stops talking. There's a pause. York's like, they will what? Because he doesn't know. They will what? What are you talking about? What would they do? And Man answers the rhetorical question of saying, they will kill us if they find us to be a threat in any way, shape, or form, sir. So yeah, we better hope that they like us or that they find us non-threatening, because if they find us threatening, we are screwed. And it's very true. They are. They are screwed if they are found threatening. And then we get the Pentagon We get Regina. We get Kim. We get Regina wanting her show back so that she could just throw out all of these accusations against Jennifer Brown just to get the conversation starting, despite no real proof. And this is where I'll give Kim credit because Kim wants the proof. Kim is like, no, 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 no. If we did it your way, nothing would get done. If we have the proof and we back her up against the wall to where all she can do is resign, that's our win. But we don't want her to just resign. We also want to find out where Yorick is. Because now Kim is without a doubt, beyond a doubt, convinced that it is Yorick. Due to Marla saying, I also saw a man who I thought looked like Yorick as well. And we also get Marla running out into the war room yelling, the war room, that's what they call it. The war room is in the Pentagon room where they had the conversation with the Mountain 10 team earlier, where they do all their planning. It seems that that's where all their lines of communication come in and out of, so that the basic information that they have to give to each other across the world and stuff, that's what they're doing it from. Plans of action are coming from this room here. And I also like the idea that they moved it to the Pentagon and that they didn't do it like in the comic. In the comic, they run everything from the White House, which is interesting and which is something that I like. Again, different comparison from book to comic, from the comic book to the TV show. That moving it to the Pentagon, it kind of makes sense. It's a different place, and I don't know, feel like the White House is like the place to be hunkered down in. It's kind of done a whole bunch. A lot of people, it makes sense. It's where the president lives, blah, blah, blah. But like the Pentagon also makes sense because I feel like that has the infrastructure to communicate a lot better than the White House does. Like you might be able to protect yourself in the White House, but I don't know how much you can actually do from there. But I'm not a politician. I've never been to the White House. I have no idea what capabilities are anywhere. So that's all conjecture. So again, I like it. That is a logical, good change or whatever that I think that they made in it. But being here is just great. I think Kim is starting to lose her mind. I think Kim is going off the deep end in like a psychotic kind of way. And I think that we're getting that from Kim in like that whole conversation that she has with Regina and being like, we need York. God has a plan for him. And he is the special one that we need to be able to repopulate Earth and become a country of mothers again. Because that's what Kim ultimately wants. She wants her kids back. That's why she's going after Christine. Well, she was originally going after to try and blackmail Christine. She kind of seems to be leaning off that now that Christine is pregnant. She really wants to have a kid again, preferably a male kid. And even Regina pushes back a little bit, being like, wait, why do we want York? You said he was some BS puppet master who doesn't do anything, who isn't worth a pot to piss in, basically. And so why do we save him? And that's where we get the God has a plan for him. And that's why we need him, because he is special and God says it. And it's like, whoa. Okay, Kim. Sure. Sure, God says he's special. Whatever. That's kind of Regina's like whole take on it, and like you really see Kim become unhinged. You really see the actress Amber really take control of the character of Kim and like go there, and it was great. Like I loved it. I saw the crazy in Kim's eyes. I saw that crazy in it, and it was awesome. And it was a great scene. Like that was stellar. Good stuff. We get more of like the kind moments of, of Jennifer Brown and Beth just kind of reminiscing, talking about York, loving York, and we also get Jennifer Brown lying straight up to Beth, like York's not around. We can only find a license, despite Jennifer Brown knowing that York is around on his way. He's actually out in Marysville, Ohio, hoping to find Beth out there because Beth has family in Ohio when Beth is back in Washington with his mom currently. So it's all really great. It's all really awesome. It's touching moments, and I almost felt that it was a little too touching, and we kind of get a little bit of it. Hold on, we don't get a little bit of it yet. I lied. But it's all very touching. We get spaghetti again, which is also very awesome. I love that spaghetti seems to be the apocalypse ending meal, go-to meal that everybody has a plethora of. It's all got meat sauce. I would have thought that, or it's all got sauce of some kind, by the way, on the spaghetti. Let's talk about spaghetti for 30 seconds here. The spaghetti is very interesting in the fact that it's still there and it's still saucy, and it almost seems like there could still be some meat to it, which is all just very interesting. I would have thought, I mean, I get pasta maybe being like shelf life long, like still like having a lot of life there, but I feel like the plate that we saw York take down and this plate here kind of being a lot. And it almost makes you wonder about like what they talk about, like the people out there wanting more supplies. It's like, damn, that looks like a lot for one person. Like, shouldn't we be right? It like, does a person really need that much? Maybe not. Maybe not. Um, but then we, then we had the Marla room, like war room explosion. I just want to talk about that a little bit some more because this is really interesting. Marla gives, I can't think of the woman's name who plays Marla, but she gives a great performance here of like that scream getting into that war room and then calling out Jennifer Brown being like, you weren't even a good mother and you called me crazy. You're calling me crazy. You made me believe I was crazy. And now there's thoughts that maybe I'm not crazy. There's possibility that I'm not crazy and that you've been lying to me this whole time. Like, it's kind of messed up. And like, I get that. I totally get Marla's stance on it. She makes a lot of sense to it. And we kind of get like this new fight that will be happening. Like we see a new political ground, or for Jennifer Brown, like a new battlefield that she's gonna have to start dealing with. Cut back to York in the prison, man, 355. We get a little bit of testing the waters of these three playing together, working together, always being together. And we get it with York actually kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit. York gets in kind of 355's face and it's like, if you start a fight and you get halfway through it and you can't finish it, we are screwed because I'm an escape artist. We know I can't do anything. He assumes Dr. Mann can't, and which is fairly true. Dr. Mann is not a fighter, not a trained military operative, or not a trained operative, just I would maybe not military, but trained operative like 355 is. So, and there's a whole lot of people out there. Like there's 15 to 20 of them, 10 to 15 of them, I believe is York's number that he gives 355. So without 355 being able to fight or top fighting shape, they're kind of screwed. And so York challenges 355 to a fight within the prison cell, which is just all the way dumb, but he does it. He loses the fight, but he wins the battle. Because 355 exerts herself enough, maybe not to her fullest capacity, but she exerts herself enough to like see that she's clearly concussed because she pukes after the fight. And she gets all like discombobulated and stuff. We get Sonya entering. Sonya lets them know, tosses some pain pills to 355 that they voted. They are able to stay as long until 355 is able to. Ooh, that was scary. Something fell over there. She is able to stay at. Or Sonya tells York, 355, and Dr. Mann that they are able to stay here in Marysville, in town, not in the prison with them, until 355 is all better, at which time they can probably either continue to stay or go about their way, but they have safety here. They have refuge here for the time being, which is really great. You know, like this is what happens exactly. Again, this episode is like a reprint of book 2 in so many ways, and it's really great because like they kind of gone off on their own in a lot of ways from this. Like the last time I really felt that they were here was when we talked about the market and stuff. When we did that little bit in, I think, even episode 4. Wow. A few episodes ago now. 3 episodes ago. Weeks ago. But anyhow, this was really great. We're living in Marysville, something that I've been wanting to get to because it's an important point of the story. Like stuff happens in Marysville, and we've already seen some stuff happening in Marysville with the with them being in prison, with the crash scene. Like they're doing a lot here, which is great. And then once we leave the prison, we go back to brings them out, and then we get the hard cut back to the Pentagon. And in the Pentagon, we get Kim yelling at Marla about the war room scream out. Marla found out that what her heaven, what her haven, what she has been really wanting in this new life is gone. And it's kind of what I talked about earlier in the episode. Like, people don't really talk to Marla. People don't really tell her what's going on in these things. And so due to that, Marla is like really kind of broken when she finds out that their Lynchburg home, there was a dam nearby that broke. And so like we really see Marla like really upset by this. Like her last ditch effort almost of what you thought about for her, for what she wanted for herself in this new world, to try and live off the land, be pioneer women now, be on our own, be something more than what Kim wants to go back to, and just being a mother, being like somebody, like Marla kind of wants to be her own woman now, wants to leave this past behind her. And we talked about it in episode 6 last week, where we kind of lay in heavy into it. You see the funeral, the rebirth of Athena, you got Hero last episode, like really into that, and Sam being like, this is a cult, man, I'm out, I don't want to be a part of this. Then you get the gang beat up of Kelsey at the end, and all of that was leading to the question of like, who do you want to be now in this world? And Marla doesn't want to be a politician. She does not want to be a politician's wife. She does not want to be a politician's mother. Clearly where Kim wants to go. Kim wants to carry that flag, carry on that family tradition that her father was doing. Marla wants no part of what her husband was doing. Wants no part of it. She wants to go retire. She wants to live off the land. She wants to have it, a new life, and she is told now that's not a possibility. It's really heartbreaking. That, like, again, God, I should have known who the woman who played Marla was, her name, or the actress's name, but she's great in it. Like, she gives a powerful performance here. And then we get a little bit more of like what I was saying before. We leave Marla and Kim. We get Beth, Jennifer Brown. Beth is done taking her shower. Like, she's able to clean up a little bit. Jennifer Brown wants to do something nice for Beth and give her a presidential, really thick, good winter coat. It's cold out there. They need it. Everybody would need it. Anyone would need it. And in this time then, Beth explains like, hey, I can't wear that out there. Presidential seal, like, that's not a good thing anymore. Like, seeing that I've come from the government, like, people want too many things from the government, want too many answers, are asking too many questions, wanting too many answers for themselves, and they're really not getting them. And I can't wear that. I appreciate that, but I'm good with what I've got. And for whatever reason, I felt that Beth is up to something, and that's why we haven't seen her. Maybe. I wish Ed was here, because this would be the perfect question to bounce off Ed, being like, dude, do you think she was up to something? Ed usually sits on this. Do you think she was up to something? Do you think Beth has been like scheming, being a cheese-eating rat? You know, it's a great question to ask him. Um, but it's a question I have. It's a question that I had. I don't know. Answer me back, please. Comment, tweet me, Instagram us, whatever. We're out there. Um, Let me know because it's a question to be had for sure. And let's see. Then we bounce back. We're almost at the end here now, guys. Ooh. Um, we thank you for staying with me. I've actually done pretty well. We're at 50-minute mark. I'm sorry, guys. That might be a little bit longer than what you guys have all liked. So we get Beth leaving and Jennifer Brown kind of being a little upset, but also getting a new, I think, hopefully going forward for how she maybe changes things or wants to do things. Like she gets a new perspective from somebody who's been out there that actually wearing that presidential seal isn't good. Then we have York. Then again, like they agree, like Beth is like, no, I can't take this. I've got to go. Like, I can't wear that out there. Let me go. I'm staying with my friend Sydney. Do you remember her? Whatever. That doesn't really matter because she leaves. Then we get the cut back to Marysville. Now it looks like dinner time. They're getting ready to celebrate. Or actually, I jumped the gun there. We see York laying 355 down on a bed. And it's different than a little bit different than what we got in the comic, because in the comic we see Dr. Mann putting like 355 down to bed and doing all of that for her. And that's where we get right there. Let me put that up there. Okay. So we actually get Dr. Mann taking care of 355 in the comic, and there's actually even in the comic there's actually a really sweet moment, and we actually get it in the prison cell when it's just Dr. Mann and 355. Dr. Mann is actually doing a little bit of an inspection, trying to do basic doctor things, because she's a doctor research scientist, so she has probably some medical some medical stuff, but cannot like do surgery or fix somebody or make a diagnosis of something. So she's like examining her head wound, seeing if like they need to clean it out probably anymore or whatever. And there's this moment of where they're leaning in where you almost expect them to kiss each other, and it's reminiscent of the comic book conversation that they have as well when 355 is kind of out of it. She says she wants York, and in that conversation, Dr. Mann is actually thinking that 355 is coming onto her. And again, that's the conversation that we're having in the comic, that they have in the comic. In the show, it's kind of like almost sexual attention being implied by the scene, like they're so close. It's this vulnerable, intimate moment, and you think like Dr. Mann almost leans in a little bit for it, and then 355 pushes away. And it made me think about the comic, because in the comic, 355 is pulling in Mann, not realizing it's Mann, and thinks she's talking to York, just saying, "I want you, York. I want you." So it was all very interesting. It was a nice little nod to that by also twisting it and not having it be the same. But here we get, York being very kind, very gently putting 355 down. 355 also says, York, shut up, don't say anything, don't be kind to, or don't give any information away. Be kind to them, obviously, but don't get close to anyone either, especially the girl that came to the prison with us, the same one that we saw that was awoken in his bed, and everything like that. So then we get the official dinner and meeting, and in this dinner, York walks by, and in the background there's a sign. It's the final clue that if up until this point you didn't know we were in Marysville, Ohio, well, guess what, people? They spell it out for you. It's a sign. I want to call it a blue sign with black writing, but that's at night and it looked dusky like that. It's probably a white sign with black lettering that says Marysville, Ohio, very clearly on it. So that's the final clue. That's clue number 4, and they legitimately spell it out for you. It's really funny now thinking about me being like, they spell it out for you, because they do. It's a big old sign that says Marysville, Ohio. And in this, we get a little bit more. We get a little bit of some questions that people may have had that characters in the town ask. Like, what happened to the other people that might have lived here? Are all of the prisoners that were in this prison living here? Did you all leave? Did they die? Did you kill them? Question mark. And it's kind of hinted at that there's been some maybe nefarious things that have happened, because we know there's a council. We know that they do things as a group and that there are votes. What have previous votes been? Because, let's see, somewhere in episode 5, we would have assumed that we're at the 12-week mark. So episode 6 could have easily been another couple of weeks. Let's call it 14. Could have been at the 16. We could be at the 4-month mark since the incident, if you will, in episode 7 here. So like maybe 4 months away. How many people have been there? We only really saw a house, the outside of it, and then we see what's clearly like a main town road that they have things. And it's really great. They've got electricity, they've got, toast, they've got chickens and stuff there. Like, they're making a living. They're living here in Marysville. It's actually a nice place, community to actually kind of be. It looks kind of safe. And it's great. It is wonderful. But they start asking that the people there ask the questions, why are we letting him stay? This is a risk. We can't let her, the one who's walking around with York, get close with York and accidentally spill beans, give secrets away. Similar to what the Amazons had talked about at the end of the last episode. Interesting, right? Questions to be had. Because then, once this dinner's over, we go back to the Pentagon. And this is some heavy stuff. We see Marla walking along some pebbles. Or we see her in a room, first looking at a mosquito that just flies out a window. And then we see her walking around some pebbles. Then it almost looks like an exhaust that you would see on a roof. Then we cut to Kim saying, Mom, I've got peaches. I've got some butter. We're halfway to a peach cobbler. I feel like we need something sweet, something to kind of celebrate a little bit with, do a little something with. And then we see Marla on the edge of the roof of the Pentagon. And then we see her jump. We cut back to Kim, and then Kim screaming. And I would like to take this time, if you feel in any way inadequate about your life, call someone. Call the suicide hotline. I'm going to put the title card of that up, the same one that they put at the end of this episode up. I'm going to put the exact same thing that they wrote up at the end of this one. Find help. Talk to someone. And talk to someone because it can help. And it's a really somber note to end the episode on, and it's really sad. But the last thing that we really see in the episode is Beth getting into a van. And the question that I asked earlier, has Beth been up to something previously? So we find out she has, and that there is some sort of scheme to kind of get into the Pentagon, and she was actually trying to infiltrate there. So, episode 8. Cannot wait. But I'm going to end the episode here. Um, Thank you guys for joining us again. Again, if you are sad, you are feeling inadequate about anything, talk to someone. Please. There are people out there to help you, and here is that number.